Alright, now it's your turn, Sean. Okay, I had to stop watching this slightly after 4 minutes in. The reason that conservatives would care about this is because it will negatively affect the economy and everyone in it. You are incredibly naive and you think that you can simply make the world a better place by doing things like giving the homeless a home. You fail to consider the effects of these actions. Okay, I can't remember exactly what I said in my video, but I didn't really feel like going over it again. But what does homelessness have to do with a four-day work week? And the reason that conservatives would care about this is because it will negatively. How will it? You say this, but you don't explain how. You just say it, like it's just a reality because you say it is an assertion. What is that? It will negatively affect the economy and everyone in it. I think I do mention in the video that people will most likely spend more into the economy because they have more time to themselves. They aren't bound to a fucking job for as long as you conservatives want them, or that conservatives want them to be. I'm not sure if you are a conservative. You don't even say that. But I can only assume you are a conservative because you are disagreeing with me for reasons that whatever. Okay, carrying on here. You failed to consider the effects of these actions. What? You failed to consider the effects of these actions. Consider the effect. How does anybody know what the effects of these actions will be? The 4-day work week has not been implemented yet. How do you know anything, Sean? You're just talking from baseless. This whole thing so far is baseless. You're insulting me by saying I'm incredibly naive, and then you're bringing homelessness into it. My idea on how to solve the problem of homelessness without going into deep detail about it is to basically just establish government agencies all over the country and just bring the homeless people in for interviews. Assure them they're not being punished in any way, just that they want to know what happened so they can help them solve that problem by getting them to explain what happened to them. If the problem is common among the homeless people and it turns out that the problem is actually within the economy itself, then, well, I guess some adjustments need to be made now, don't they? Of course, the conservatives wouldn't like that idea, but that's too fucking bad. Anyway, businesses must earn enough revenue to pay all of the employees and other costs of operating, hopefully doing well enough to earn the owner a profit. What does any of that have to do with people taking additional time off? Or going into work less? What is that? That does, businesses must earn. So what? If they aren't earning enough revenue, then they need to solve that problem themselves. And what does that have to do with the employees coming into work less? Does that somehow make them sell less? What does their profit margin have to do with hours worked or days worked? Most businesses are small businesses, and 22% of businesses fail within the first year. So? That's their problem, isn't it? Maybe, well, it's their responsibility to look into that if the problem is on their part, or if maybe the problem is in the economy itself. That needs to be analyzed and looked at. You're just I don't even know. You're just making excuses at this point. You're making assertions. Most businesses are small businesses, so what's your fucking point? If they make enough profit, they'll grow, won't they? What does that have to do with how many days or hours their employees work? Again, though, you're not explaining anything. You're just throwing all these factors or whatever they are, these percentages and shit. 30% will fail within the second year, and 50% will fail within 5 years. What's your point? If you go to a 4-day work week, what that really means is that costs will artificially be increased by businesses by a lot too. Okay, who controls the prices of products? I mean, what does that have to do with anything? If anything, like you're obviously talking about inflation here, but the companies control that, not the employees. It shouldn't. That's just dishonest. They're making an excuse to gouge consumers. That's all that is. That's nothing. Has nothing to do with anything. And far more businesses will fail, and we will have less jobs available. What? If people are working less, it just means hire more people. What the fuck? And if a company can't do that, well, that's their fucking problem. People shouldn't have to be bound to these companies because people have a right to have more time to themselves. What the fuck? You're just making excuses for which is what conservatism does. You're blaming people. Well, you're not blaming people, but I'm politically independent because I'm completely different from everybody in the political spectrum, as I have my own ideas when it comes to the economy and society. When it comes to the economy, my idea is economic trial and error, as I like to call it, which means figuring out what works best for everybody in the country, going through the process of trial and error, coming together, brainstorming new ideas to figure out what works best for everybody, which would involve improving the workplace and dealing with what most people would consider to be the problem of technological automation, how to work that into the economy at a safe degree, I guess, and which would cause the balancing out of the economy so we can improve the workplace and figure out how to solve all the problems and, again, how to make it work for everybody in the country. There will be a surplus of workers, and then supply is high and demand is low. Well, you're making all these assertions when we haven't even experienced a 4-day work week yet. Well, California hasn't. How do you know these things? You're making these false predictions. Nothing. There will be so the price of what? Your labor, which means you'll be paid less money. No, the 4-day work week involved the same pay along with time off. I think I have to watch it again. Your labor, which means you'll be paid. That's not what they said. Where are you getting that from? So fantastic! You were earning $500 a week in 5 days. That went to $500 a week in 4 days for a while. Then you lost your job and had to find a new one. Now you get paid. What are you fucking talking about? How would they be losing their fucking job? You're talking out of your ass. This is a complete straw man. You're talking from nothing. Even if it does happen, why does it happen? Good job. Now you need to work more hours in order to... You don't even know what you're talking about. Now, looking through this, you also asked me about Bernie Sanders. Where is it? I don't know. Well, okay, I'll say this. Indeed, YouTube is becoming shittier. You recommended Odyssey. Now, the problem there is everybody's on YouTube. That's why I'm here. Otherwise, I would leave YouTube in a heartbeat. As shitty as it is. But I've also said in the video about a year ago even, probably. I can't remember exactly when, but I I told people that I was looking into creating a site of my own, like YouTube, but I couldn't find any website business or company to. None of them would take my business. I had hundreds of dollars to spend, but nobody would do it for me. But that led me to look into learning. What is it? What the fuck is it called now? HTML. And I did learn quite a bit so far, and I'm going to go back into it. But I was working on a project. But anyway, even if I did that, nobody would join it. If I made it exactly the way YouTube was back in the mid 2000s when they first started, before the assholes on Google bought it off of them and made it to the shit site that it is today, nobody would join. So I'd only be wasting my money. But yeah, it's a lost cause. But here's where you ask me about Bernie. Okay, I would like to know why you think Bernie's proposals would actually work. Okay, you mentioned Bernie's proposals and not just strawmanning him, saying that he's going to replace capitalism with socialism. I applaud that on your part. It's just an argument point to rail against Bernie's supporters back in 2017 or whatever, 2015, whatever. The way I'm thinking is that if Bernie got into office and he was true to his proposals, and he actually managed to socialize both healthcare and college education, that would mean those expensive burdens would be lifted off of people, most Americans, which means most Americans would be able to get into college and therefore possibly get into a better job or a career even with a lot bigger salary. That means in the long run they'd be able to spend more into the economy, and that would mean obviously that corporations could be done away with their stupid bullshit of appealing to people with low prices with cheap or low quality goods at the expense of sweatshop labor, enabling the economy to function at a low gear level. That's what I think would happen. People would be able, not only that, but people would actually care about their fucking work because they're in a field which they care about because they went to college for it, and not just working a shit job at Walmart or whatever, or some sort of factory or whatever little America offers to people. And they would obviously be able to stimulate the economy, unlike Donald's bullshit policy of cutting income tax, which deprives the government, as it's responsible for spending on the infrastructure. And this would also obviously enable mom and pop shops and therefore high quality goods, and it would just improve the economy so much, and it would affect everybody. While you have all these selfish dickheads that don't want to provide for other people because they're selfish. They would be benefiting from a better economy. That's what they don't realize, and that's what a lot of Bernie supporters didn't think to mention to them way back in the day. And I think that's pretty much all I really need to say. Now the problem here is, going back to your other reply here. The problem here is, aside from you making all these asshole strawman assertions, the problem here is you're not suggesting any possible ways to make employment better for people. All you're doing is shitting on the 4-day work week because of the bullshit reasons you provided here, which are based on nothing because this whole thing hasn't been implemented yet. You're shooting it down based on nothing. But you also didn't ask me what my suggestion would be. I remember mentioning the Zeitgeist movement, which everybody just, wow. But That's why you're wrong, Sean. If you don't like that, that's your fucking problem. But I don't really expect anything from you because you've provided nothing in these replies of yours. So whatever happens, whatever happens.